everyone. This is Steve Wolff with another edition of Steve's Stock Stories, and I'm here with my cohort and producer and friend, Jocelyn Magana.
How's it going, everybody?
This is one of my favorite topics. I am so happy to be alive at this point in time because we are going through a technological digital revolution. I mean, this must be what it felt like to be in the Industrial Revolution, you know, when you went from the horse and buggy to cars, of course, eventually putting men on the moon. But, I mean, all the things that happened in that time are happening now, only they're happening digitally.
I feel like the first feeling that I saw the world change in a dramatic way where I was so excited. Two things that I remember surfacing. The mobile phone. Okay, remember when the movie The Saint came out?
Oh yeah.
And that phone was like amazing. He had a video on there. He got text messages. I thought, oh my gosh, if that could ever possibly happen. And then we have way better phones than that. Now you just throw that little toy away, right? And then the other big thing that I saw was the internet. You know, when I was in college, we were just using email at the time, and there was these things called websites. And I remember thinking, wow, you know, we're going to be able to like buy stuff on the internet someday. And I remember telling somebody, hey, you know, this is going to be an amazing space because we're just going to be buying stuff on the internet. And they're like, you know what? Who's going to buy stuff on the internet? You just go to the store. Why the hell are you going to? Okay, one technological advance before this, which kind of wasn't, but which everybody thought was crazy, was when everybody started buying bottled water. But that's a whole nother subject.
Well, you know, you talk about phones. I remember watching the movie Wall Street with Michael Douglas, and he had one of a mobile phone, but it was probably, I don't know, 12 inches.
Oh yeah, they were like
They were
big,
huge.
They were big, like a shoebox.
Right.
About the size of a shoebox.
Right, they were big, and you know you could make a phone call on there. Today, I mean, my goodness, you could do just about everything. You can turn on your car. You can
turn on your sprinklers in your house. You can see your front door. I mean, it's amazing.
And what they have in that little phone is way more powerful than what IBM first came up with when they had that first computer that took up, I don't know, 3 rooms or something. You know, vacuum tubes and whatever. It's just incredible.
So I guess where I'm going with this is that I'm as excited now as I was when mobile phones were becoming more accessible, and in the whole mobile phone revolution and the internet. When the internet really started, I remember my first job, we didn't even have computers on our desks. We had little card boxes and had everything in our files. And when I finally got to a company where they gave me a computer and access to the internet, I thought I made it. I was working in, you know, a big time company because they could afford to get me a computer.
Well, I hate to tell you this, but the internet really didn't come around publicly till about maybe close to 20 years after I graduated from college. You know, they were using, for computers, you know, you'd use those old computer cards and the punch cards that if you made one mistake somewhere, you had to figure out where that mistake was.
Okay, so I don't know. Maybe I just had an idea of what I thought. I thought a computer when I was a kid was going to be kind of like the computers we had now. And I got a computer for a gift, and it was confusing. I mean, I thought it was supposed to be literally like what we have now. And it was like a little thing with these cards and these lights. I mean, there was no display for you to read easily. It was ridiculous.
Right. Well, but that brings us now to where we are today.
Yeah.
There are so many opportunities today in the stock market to make tons of money, you know, and you know, it's hard for me sometimes to pick out just a few because there's so many. You know, look what's happening. Cryptocurrencies, okay? That wouldn't be around if it weren't for all the, you know, the stuff that's online and the blockchain and you name it. I mean, all the things that are underneath that. I mean, cryptocurrencies right now are about as hot as can be.
That's what I mean. Like this whole space of the cryptocurrency, the blockchain, it is to me. I feel the same energy as 1990, 99, 98, and I remember reading about this in an article, I think on Forbes, and really the article was about the guy who had that website, the Silk Road, you know, and he was selling a lot of illicit products on the dark web. And I remember reading that, and they kind of went into the history that this Bitcoin, and it was it was such an exotic idea, right?
Right.
That it had come from almost like a virtual world, like these sim worlds, right? These simulated worlds, and they'd create currency there, and it like leapt from the virtual game world to real life. That was the way I understood it. I still don't fully understand it. I can't wait to hear from some experts, but
Well,
yeah.
we're going to at some point here in hopefully the near future, we're going to have an expert on crypto come in and really explain so that everybody can understand what's going on. I've had a lot of clients who have asked especially in the last month or two, about cryptocurrencies, and I'm sure it has a lot to do with it. A Bitcoin has gone from I don't know, $10,000 to $65,000, so everybody gets excited, but
But the whole blockchain technology for all kinds of uses is amazing.
right. Well, I mean, cryptocurrency, it's a virtual currency. I mean, I couldn't have even imagined that back when I was going to school, and maybe even not 10 years ago.
No, but until I read about it, it was a whole made up. It didn't even exist in my mind.
Well, and probably not in most people's minds. There's something else that you start talking about virtual reality almost.
Yep.
There is something now called the metaverse. I don't know how many people have heard of the metaverse, but it's actually kind of an alternative universe where it's a virtual 3D world.
Yeah, like my kid's a big gamer, and in this world he's really good at math. I mean, I just heard one of his little talks about himself, and it's true. He can remember instantly the Wi-Fi code, the really complicated one that comes out. I remember I asked him, say, "Hey, can you go down and take a picture of the Wi-Fi code so I can set up our TV?" And he goes, "I have it." I said, "Would you write it down?" He goes, "No, I have it in my head." Like, you memorize the Wi-Fi code like that? He goes, "Yeah." So he's really good. He's kind of an introvert, But when he gets into the gamer world, he's like a ninja. And it reminds me of that movie Ready Player One. And when I saw that movie Ready Player One, I kind of got an insight into his universe, and he's not alone. There's a lot of kids and adults that are in this world where they have the world that they're living in and the person they have to be here, and then there's who they are. And I hear him. He's quiet and fairly confident here, but when he's talking and he's in his element, I mean, he's a whole nother person.
Well, it's like the next internet, only it's 3D.
Yeah.
It's immersive internet. I mean,
He's not there yet, but yeah, I get it.
well,
It's coming.
I heard about some people who went to a concert virtually.
He did that. So yeah, my son did that. It was on one of the gaming platforms. I think one of the open source platforms that the kids play, where the kids make their own games.
Right.
And I remember I was making breakfast, and he was attending a virtual concert on this. And he said, "Hey, there's thousands of people here. My friends are here." And it was a legitimate a big name band that was actually the artists in the concert.
Was this Travis Scott? By any chance?
I don't know.
Because I read something, I wrote it down here, that last year 12.3 million people watched the hip hop artist Travis Scott concert live in the hit game Fortnite. So, I mean, get your arms around that. They actually saw him inside this game, right? So I'm sure they had to have the virtual reality glasses on, or
No, I think at least the way I saw it, it was just on the screen. Maybe you could have done that the way my kid experienced it, and it was a big concert. Was just on his television screen,
Okay.
his big computer screen.
But was he actually there, or was he just watching?
He was participating with his virtual avatar.
Right.
They have these little
Icons.
and they trick him out with
Right.
different gear and
Right.
make him unique to themselves. And he was there with his get up.
Well, just to give you an idea how big that was, that 12.3 million people, that's about how many people on average watch Monday Night Football. I mean, that is a big number, and think about education-wise. I was reading something that said that in the not too distant future, you may even be able to do it now, you'll be able to put on the virtual reality glasses or whatever it is and actually visit, let's say, ancient Greece and actually touch things that are there, talk to people who are there. I mean, and they're now making the humans that are not human, but they're virtual reality humans, look very much like we do. Pretty soon, it's converging. The real world and the the virtual world is converging where you might not even be able to tell the difference.
Well, I see that coming very quickly, and you know, I'm not really, my kid's not really involved yet with the what is it, Oculus, what is that, the virtual reality type games,
Right.
quite yet, and it's probably next step for him. However, the games that he's playing, so I play some of them with him because that's how I want to at least be able to connect with him some way. So I'll play some of the games, and what's interesting is a lot of the games now, I don't know what you call them. Assassin's Creed and Red Dead Redemption, these are role play characters where you go into a world. And so you go into a historic period. And what's interesting is that a lot of the information is historic information, and you do talk to the people. My kid knows more about, I was talking to him, I do a little bit of shooting on the range and stuff, and I was talking about some old firearms like some Winchesters and such. And he knew every firearm because they were using the historic names of the firearms. And he goes, oh, yeah, I know that gun, and I know that gun. And it's pretty amazing to me.
Have you ever heard of something called Decentraland?
No.
It's a virtual platform where you can create, explore, and trade, and even buy and own land in a virtual world. And I read here that recently a patch of virtual land sold on the platform for $572,000.
That was kind of how I understood the jump from the whole virtual currency. Is that these tokens or coins in these worlds call for real dollar value,
Right.
which is
So
crazy.
So as far as an investor is concerned, I mean, there are companies like semiconductor companies that are actively working to create this metaverse future. So I would think that as that grows, these semiconductor companies would do extremely well. I believe it's a major video game maker just raised $1 billion to put towards the building of metaverse.
Yeah,
I mean, this is like science fiction beyond my wildest dreams.
it's like another. It's like, I don't know if every once in a while I used to have these really vivid dreams, right? And I used to get I'm sure everybody's had this conversation one time in college, right? You're like, is the dream world real? You know, when I'm dreaming, or I live in another life? Well, you're going to be able to live another life. Like, you're going to be able to live this world life, and then you're going to be able to live what's this thing called that you're talking
The
about?
metaverse?
You're going to be able to live your metaverse life, right? Crazy.
Yeah, you're going to hear that term a lot more lately. A lot of people haven't heard it yet. But
I
they
actually
will.
didn't hear it till today. I mean, I got an idea what you're talking about,
Right.
but I didn't hear it today. And I'm only in tune with like these worlds, these smaller micro worlds, because of my kids' gaming.
Right.
You know.
Well, through all the artificial intelligence and blockchain and everything else, all this other technology that's coming down the pike here, science is really benefiting. I'm sure you know about genomics. That's the mapping of the gene code in humans, and that is helping us with looking to see diseases and seeing if your DNA and your genes are okay. But there's something more than that, and I think Illumina here in our area is one of those companies that does that. Again, I don't know how they're doing. I haven't bought it, and I'm not intending to buy it. But that's a type of company that is helping use the DNA mapping that genomics does. But now there's something else coming on. It's called proteomics.
You're speaking another language.
Okay, well, what I'm hearing is that where genomics is like the entree, this is the main course. So what they're doing is in every cell, there are hundreds of thousands of proteins, or tens of thousands. I don't know how many, but a lot. Okay, and what this is doing is, and that's called proteome. Okay, so it's a study of proteomics.
Okay.
And what they're doing is they're studying these proteins because proteins change. Your DNA does not change, all right? But proteins do. And what their belief is that if you can find proteins that maybe are damaged or something like that, that you can tell maybe if someone's got cancer or Alzheimer's long before, maybe years or maybe even decades before it happens. So the advantage to that, of course, is that if you know that that's coming, you might be able to eat the right foods or take the right medicines. Who knows?
Or these might be markers where now we're going to learn how to get to the next step, right? Like we'll learn the early markers, and then the scientists can find how to address this before it becomes a complete issue, right? Oh, and by the way, I'm having a great time in this conversation, but we always got to put this out here. Any of the companies we talk about on this podcast, this is for educational purposes, conversation, entertainment. We are in no way suggesting you should buy or sell any of these. If you're going to be investing in any kind of securities or anything outside of that, you really need to talk to, you need to talk to your licensed investment advisor professional. So outside of that, this is just educational and entertainment.
That's correct. So there are companies right now that are starting to deal in this proteomics world. And, I think this is just amazing. Again, it's science fiction to me.
Yeah, no, I love all this science stuff that we got going on right now.
All right. There's another area. It's called synthetic biology.
Steve, where you're coming up with all kinds of new stuff these days.
Yeah, well, it's what my job is. I have run some stock portfolios, and I have to know what's going on. So I do a lot of research.
I'm gonna have to go to Google after this and just look up half the stuff you're talking about.
Well, that's why I do it. And you know what? There are people who love doing this, and then there's other people who say, you know what? I don't want to do all this work. You do it to me. They say, you do it and just tell me what to buy. And that's fine. That's really what our job is.
Well, and it sounds like it's a lot of fun too. I mean, if you, like yourself, you can do it.
I'm telling you, this is like a kid in a candy store, because I'm finding all these things that are just so amazing. It's not like 20 years ago when you might have a new restaurant or a new, when Chipotle comes out. I mean, it's fun, but it's a restaurant.
Right.
This stuff is synthetic biology.
So tell me about this.
All right. Well, basically, it is a technology that allows. I'm losing my. Thank you. We had to fix the sound here. But basically, this is a technology.
So tell me about the synthetic technology.
Okay. The synthetic technology is basically a technology that allows scientists to reprogram the operating system of plants and other organisms. In other words, they're going to go in and they're going to change your DNA. They'll be able to maybe create. Man, this is scary, really. I would think they might be able to create a person.
I thought they could already create a person. I just thought it was like outside the ethical realm of possibility.
Yeah, I'm not.
Or not possibility. The ethical realm of like making synthetic people is supposed to be like really really bad.
Yeah, well, it might be. Frankenstein could be right around the corner. That I don't know.
I mean, they already made. I mean, a long time ago they were making little animals, right? I mean, goats and stuff like that, sheeps.
Yeah, but this is something. Well, yeah, but you're talking about something different. Okay, you're talking about cloning and that type of thing.
Okay, yeah, this is different than that?
Yeah, no, cloning was where they made another sheep out of the first sheep.
Right.
Okay, this is where you can actually go in, and the positive side of this is that, let's say there's something wrong with some part of your DNA, some type of your genetic makeup, something of your genetic makeup, they might be able to artificially go in there or go in there with some artificial, I want to say it's plastic silicone, and actually change or fix that DNA.
Inside your body. Basically self-repair?
Well, yeah, I guess so. I mean, they're repairing your body through this synthetic
Or would
biology.
they be putting like little organisms that they program them and they go to work in you? Or?
You know what? I don't know. That's beyond my pay grade.
Oh.
It's like I know how to drive a car, but I don't know how to
put it together.
Put it together.
All right.
So I know that this is what could happen. But yeah, the engineers designed sequences of DNA on computers. That's actually how they do it. Then they physically print out those sequences. I'm reading this now, and insert them into living things. Now, this can then add beneficial character traits to a living thing. For example, scientists already use it to make self-fertilizing plants.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think they've been doing, that's the whole Franken fruit or Franken vegetables, right?
I guess.
Everybody's scared of like all the genetically modified produce. Yeah, which basically I'm not sure how we have had any produce without that. But
well, that's right. I mean, you'd not have any corn if you didn't genetically change it. But using synthetic biology, they've also created a reliable source of, I'm not sure I'm pronouncing this right, artemisinin, which is used in malaria vaccines. fake meat pioneer, Beyond Meat.
Okay.
Okay, you guys know that they also use that to make a realistic veggie burger. So I mean, it's really something. I mean,
I heard about that. I remember hearing about the whole journey to making meat is they were like growing meat. I don't know if that's the same deal, but
well, they're not doing that, but they are using synthetic, fake, DNA to make these burgers taste more like a real like a meat burger.
So is the end game to say, hey, you're genetically predisposed to these certain illnesses, and we could potentially take some of these this synthetic DNA and modify your DNA so that this wouldn't come to fruition.
Yeah, that's exactly what it's doing, and so there are companies out there that are doing this. I don't know whether it's going to be successful or not, but it's interesting. And then, of course, you've got artificial intelligence and machine learning just in general.
Yeah.
And because of artificial intelligence, a lot of this is now able to happen.
I think that's why we're moving so fast. Right. I think that's why science is accelerating and all these ideas are because the computers are getting smarter than us and moving faster than we ever could.
Well, I don't know that they're getting smarter than us because we actually build the computers, but they're able to learn much quicker than we are. And a good example, there's a company out there that is testing.
I don't think humans can beat them at chess anymore.
No, they can't because they a machine doesn't forget.
That's what I'm trying to say is when I say smarter, I don't maybe not the Korea. I don't know. I think this whole artificial intelligence thing is getting really,
well, they may be
really powerful.
They may be smarter than us, but there's other people out there who are pretty smart.
Yeah.
But there's a company out there right now that I'm aware of that is testing cancer drugs that the FDA has said no to.
Okay.
And why are they doing that? Well, what their theory is that it's not that the cancer drug was bad, that for specific people that the cancer drug will work. But when you do a test of many, 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 many people, there are too many people that wouldn't work for. So they may only have a 40 or 30 or 25% positive rate. And the FDA says, well, that's not good enough. We're not putting it out on the market because it's not going to help the other 70 or 75% of the people. So what they're doing is they're using AI, and they've got billions now of data points. And as the machines learn more and more and more about us and about the drugs, they're putting the right people with the right drugs.
I was going to say, so could they build like a model based on the database to say, hey, look, you are not a candidate for these mass products that are not working or effective for you. However, your genetic or DNA makeup or however they profile that is perfectly in line for this one obscure drug that only works on a small percentage of patients.
Well, it's not necessarily a small percentage because 25% of a large population.
I'm just saying small percentage compared to
right
whatever the standards are for approving things.
Right now, I will tell you that the company hasn't gone through the whole process yet. What they're doing is they're testing. They're going through the process, and hopefully, I don't know how long it'll take. But here's the other thing too. It's much faster than if they didn't have the AI. Okay, if they didn't have the artificial intelligence, because they're getting, every time they add data to the artificial intelligence, to the machines, then they get faster and faster and faster results.
Right, they're moving exponentially quicker as far as processing information.
Exactly. So what might have taken 5 years to do may only take them, 5 weeks.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, minutes, but maybe
we're gonna get to minutes, right? I mean, it's all
Perhaps.
It's all like you said. It is once they accumulate that knowledge and they learn how to use it, then they have it.
Exactly right. And, they're also using, I was reading where some Stanford researchers recently built a computer that scans MRIs to detect Alzheimer's disease with 94% accuracy. Okay, that's because of AI. That they have seen all the things that
enough patterns
that
because that's a very interesting space, right? Because you've got to utilize as the human brain your recognition of patterns. And it could be very difficult. It's a difficult job, I think.
It is. And humans will miss. The machine won't because, again, it doesn't forget.
Or it'll have at least, hopefully, a lower level of missing, right?
Well, yeah, I would say so. But I'm just saying that,
Theoretically.
you'll see, yeah, theoretically, you'll see patterns, and the machine will recognize those patterns right away, whereas the doctor may or may not. So it's just interesting. I mean, 94% accuracy is pretty darn good.
Yeah, that seems pretty good.
And I'll tell you, on the way to work this morning, I heard that Netflix is going to use artificial intelligence so that when you go on there and you say, Netflix, play something for me. And based on your viewing habits, they're going to come up with a movie that they think that you will like.
Don't they already kind of do that?
They kind of do that now, but now you'll just say, play something for me. Right now, they give you examples of movies that you might like. This is. I don't want to go through that. Just play something
Is
for
this
me.
going to be like uncanny where it's just going to be weird that it's the perfect movie?
Probably. Okay, and again, you guys all know about Netflix. I don't know whether it's going to continue to do well or not. It's not a stock recommendation necessarily. As Jocelyn said before.
Yeah,
make sure you
that's
talk
just
to
a
people.
conversation about concepts. It's not even, I mean, we're not even, these are just really interesting concepts. So,
Right. And one more thing is in 5G, the mobile phones. I mean, 5G is going to change a lot of things.
so tell me about 5G. I know you've kind of been looking into that. What's the big deal with 5G?
Well, first you got to go into history. Okay, 5G means it's the fifth generation of a mobile network. In the first generation, which was back in the 1980s, the 1G delivered analog. Okay, and that was a big deal in the 1980s. The second generation was the early 1990s, and that introduced digital voice, like CDMA, code division multiple access. In the third generation, which was 3G, which was the early 2000s, 3G brought mobile data, or CDMA 2000. Now the 4G, which is what we're doing today, 4G LTE, which started in the 2010s, so it's been about the last 10 years, that kind of ushered in the era of mobile broadband. Well, so what's the difference between 4G and 5G? Well, first of all, 5G is going to be significantly faster than 4G. As a matter of fact, I've heard that once that 5G is in place, you'll be able to download an entire movie in about 60 seconds. I'm sorry, not 60, 6 seconds.
Okay,
In
that's
about
fast.
6 seconds.
Well, like in your phone or something?
Wherever you're going to download it.
Okay.
Okay. It has more capacity than 4G. It has significantly lower latency, so it will work better. All right, it won't be as much failure. It's a unified platform that's more capable than 4G, and it uses a spectrum that is better than 4G. Now, I know of a company right now that it's kind of an offshoot of what's going on in all this that makes radio frequency filters. Okay, well, so what? What does that mean? Well, in every phone and in every device almost, every device that uses that has the mobile connectivity, you've got to have a filter, because without that radio frequency filter, you would just get jumbles of airwaves coming at you.
Yeah, because there's so much information in waveform just flying around.
Exactly. If you could see things, you'd probably be.
I think we'd be scared if we saw how much information is just going through our bodies right now.
Exactly.
And our brains. So I think it would be scary.
So this company is making a filter for the 5G, the fifth generation. And why? Because the fourth generation filters eventually won't be able to handle all the data and traffic that's going to come over on 5G. I mean, and you need a wider band and broadband, and it's amazing. So they're making this thing, and then they found out, by the way, through artificial intelligence, they've got something that this company found out, that the process or the material that was being used for the 4G filters will not work on the 5G. I mean, it will work to a degree, but then it just, and let's say you have a car that, it's driving itself, which is coming. That's the other thing that's happening. Okay, it's driving itself. Well, you don't want to have your chip not working or your filter not working, and all of a sudden you die.
Right.
Okay, so they found out that the material wasn't right, and whatever. So all these things are happening, and then we talk about cars. I mean, we haven't talked about that.
Yeah, it's a whole.
Oh my God, there's no question in my mind that at some point, I don't know who it's going to be, but they're going to have fleet of taxis or just cars that you can say, I don't want to buy a car anymore. I'm going to call up the car. It's going to come to me. It's going to drive itself. It's going to get me to where I want to go.
Yeah,
and that's happening.
You just pay a fee and it shows up. It knows like your schedule, right? And it just shows up. You got to be at work at a certain time and it's right in the driveway. You just hop in, drops you off at work.
It's unbelievable.
And it goes off and handles the next ride, and they'll send ones that come get you. Like it'll probably be like Uber or Uber. Right. You just basically pay a subscription, right? I need so many miles or pickups or whatever.
Right. And that's probably exactly what it'll be. So all I'm saying is that this is one of the most exciting times, in my opinion, to be alive. You're seeing all of these changes. I mean,
and these are big. These are really big. Like I said before, I'm as excited now as I was when in 1998, 99,
right,
when things were really blowing up.
And I'm saying that there are a huge number of opportunities as an investor to make money, whether it's 1 times your money, 5 times, 10 times. There's a lot of ways. Of course, you can lose. I mean, there's.
Well, yeah, not everybody's going to make it to the dance,
right,
in these spaces. That's for sure.
Exactly, and there's going to be stocks that we think are great that bomb out, or that someone else comes up with something better technology very quickly, But so we're not saying go out and buy all these things, but we are saying that there's opportunity out there.
It's an exciting time. There's as you mentioned in another podcast, as far as growth companies, there's a lot of new growth going on in new technologies that are brand new. It's
right,
an exciting time, and not in just one space.
Well, all the robots. I mean, look what Amazon has done with robots that do putting things on shelves and taking things off of shelves. And they've got robots now in fast food companies. The iRobot was something, the little vacuum cleaner.
Yeah, the little, what is that, the Roomba or something like that?
Yes, I mean, and now they've got, more things. It's just incredible what's going on right now. And, if you think about it, I hope that it will make our lives better and easier. Sometimes I think we get more complicated and it makes it harder.
The only thing that I have a love-hate relationship with is the technology with the phones.
Why?
I really like my phone and I like all the things that it does for me. However, I do feel like it can be something that we pay too much attention to, yeah, right? And sometimes I miss the days when I was, I just wasn't as accessible, right? Somebody left you I don't know who's going to remember this, but somebody left you a message on your voice machine. That's how people communicate. Oh, he's not home. Just leave a message on the voice machine. You go get the voice machines, and maybe the next day you call some of those people back. It wasn't so fast, And I didn't have 150 emails coming in just on my personal email from all these different places. How did I get information before? How am I getting so many emails? I don't remember getting that much mail.
Yeah, it's incredible. So anyway, we've talked a lot about different technologies that are coming down the pike here that are happening right now. And I'm guessing this decade, I think the 2020s is going to be a decade that people 100 years from now are going to look back on, 50 years from now are going to look back and say, this was the golden age for the digital revolution.
We can have another roaring 20s.
I think we will, to tell you the truth. I really do. I'm
Yeah.
very, and let me just say one other thing just about stocks. We hear all the time about, the stock market's going to crash and this and that and the other thing. And I'm not saying it won't. Okay, maybe things will happen in the market.
Well, there's always got to be a correction. I mean, nothing goes straight up forever. That's just part of the deal.
That's exactly right. And that's what I was going to say is that nothing goes straight up. It's part of the game. But there are so many things happening right now that whether you do it through mutual funds or exchange-traded funds, ETFs, or whether you do what I do, which is my preference, is have individual portfolios, and I do that for my clients and myself, of course. I think that you're going to be able to make a lot of money over time, as long as you have the right time frame. Okay, I'm going to say if you're 80 or 85 years old, you probably aren't going to have that time frame. But if you're a younger person or just somebody who says, hey, I think I'm going to live to be 90, I think you're going to make a lot of money.
Or if you're putting that portfolio together as a legacy.
And that's another thing too. Now,
so.
Again, it may or may not be suitable for everyone, and I'm not saying everyone go out and buy this stuff.
No, none of this is about buying stuff. I think
Right.
I think it's what I'm getting out of this is that this is a really exciting time.
Yep.
There's a lot to be watching and to be asking questions and talking to the right professional about these spaces to see what ideas they may have. I might be a little biased because I think I got one of the best guys in the business that spends a lot of time researching these, and that's Steve. So I think if you're excited by this type of stuff and you want to hear about ideas from somebody that is incredibly passionate and does the work, then you should call us. Ask for Steve.
I love talking about this stuff. Call anytime and we'll go through things. So, well, anyway, I think this kind of wraps up another edition of Steve's Stock Stories. Jocelyn, thank you very much for being here. And everybody, we'll see you next time.
Always a good time. We'll catch you next time.